This is the story about a young woman, Christy, that was killed during an apocalypse, but she was resurrected and traveled back in time to 1 month before the apocalypse. What will she do differently to save herself and her loved ones this time around? Continue watching to find out in this interesting apocalyptic story. When Christy woke up, the last thing she could remember was the chaos, the screams, the cries, bloodsheds, the betrayals, the sword stabbed deep into her chest, and the silence deeper than death itself. The room she woke up in was familiar, very familiar. The air felt fresh. She touched the place she was stabbed, but there was no wound, no blood, no pain. She stood up and looked at the mirror opposite her bed. The face that stared back was her own, but younger. The memory of the apocalypse was still fresh in her mind. The monsters, the betrayals, the pain, the hunger, the betrayals. She looked at the calendar. It was 1 month before the apocalypse. She had 1 month to prepare for the unfortunate, inevitable event that will befall the world. This time around she decided that she wouldn't suffer. She wouldn't struggle. She would stockpile everything: food, medicine, weapons, power, and when the world fell apart she would rise above it. Then a robotic voice sounded in her head. "Hello, Christy Jingren." Christy was surprised. "Who are you?" she asked. The robotic voice answered, "I am a system assigned to you to help you prepare and survive the upcoming apocalypse." Christy was excited. In her past life some people awakened systems that helped them survive the apocalypse, but she was never among the lucky ones. The system interface flashed before her eyes, green letters forming in the air. She tapped on it and a list of available resources appeared: food and water, weapons and ammunition, medical supplies, technology and engineering, alchemy and enhancement materials. Her gaze swept over the options. If she wanted to dominate the apocalypse, she cannot rely on mere luck. She needs to move now. Step 1 is money. During the apocalypse money was useless, but resources was gold. She needed to empty her bank account, sell all her assets and turn everything to resources. She immediately pulled up her phone and opened her bank account. There tens of millions lying there untouched. She began booking appointments with bulk suppliers and wholesale warehouses. Food, medicine, weapons, she would take it all. Step 2, food stockpile. She changed into a loose hoodie and pants with sneakers. She grabbed her car key. She would need food like rice, dried meat, honey, salt, canned goods, grains, things that wouldn't spoil. Soon she pulled up at a wholesale supermarket. Rows of shelves of supplies stretched endlessly. She grabbed a cart and started filling it immediately. She needs food with long shelf life, so she started grabbing bags of 50 kilograms rice and stacking it on her cart. Rice is an essential, easy to cook, nutritious, and when stored for years doesn't spoil. Next is high-calorie foods like oatmeals, flour, corn, beans. Next she bought sugar, cooking oil, and salt in bulk. Salt isn't just for flavor, it is also a preservative. During the apocalypse people killed for just a handful of salt. Soon one cart turned into 3. She was packing dried meat, fish, and protein-packed goods. Every item she selected was based on her knowledge of her past life, what was most scarce and what people fought over. By the time she was done shopping she had 4 carts full of supply. When she came to pay, the cashier was stunned. "Are you catering an event?" Christy smiled. "Something like that." The man hesitated but didn't ask further. The total came to a huge amount, but Christy paid without hesitation. The employees helped her carry her goods to her car. Immediately the system rang. "System warehouse unlocked. You can store anything except a living thing inside it." She smiled. A warehouse is going to make her stocking easier. She tipped the workers and waited till they left. She looked around to make sure no one was looking before she placed her hands on a bag of rice and the system detected it. Transport into the system warehouse. And the bag disappeared without a trace. She did the same with other goods and everything disappeared into the virtual warehouse and the car was empty. She smiled and went back inside to buy more. When she came to pay, the cashier gave her an odd look, but they couldn't stop her and question her as long as she paid. She repeated it again for the third time. She filled her cart, and when no one was looking, she would store it in her warehouse. When she came for the fourth time, she noticed people looking at her and whispering. She decided to change location. She needed to spread out her shopping. If she kept shopping at one place, she might attract suspicion. She had many more trips to make, and this is just the beginning. She drove to another wholesale store that is even bigger than the first one. The place caters to food and restaurants business, so she could even buy in bigger amounts here. She grabbed the biggest cart and an employee asked her, "Do you need help?" "Yes, I want to buy bulk staple food for my restaurant chains." "Yes, I can help you. What do you need?" She needs everything. She moved down the aisle, her eyes scanning the shelves quickly. She packed as much as she could: flour, powdered milk, sugar, the more the better, because she didn't know how long the apocalypse would last. The employees helped her stack her cart and push it towards the cashier. When she wanted to pay, the cashier was amazed. "Are you sure you want to buy all this?" "Yes, it is for a long-time investment." She paid with her card and drove off. Her next destination is a dry goods store. More purchases, more storage. By now nightfall, her car was filled to the brim and system storage swallowed everything up. She planned to buy a bigger car because her car could no longer contain her purchases. She needs to buy out all the supermarket around her because during the apocalypse people would scramble for the same thing. She decided to make one more trip for the night. She drove to another part of the city. The supermarket here was bigger and quieter. She liked it. The less people, the better. She started stacking bottled waters, canned drinks, and other goods. Plans on how to buy a bigger car, something that could carry everything at once. When she got home, she made sure she was alone before placing the items in her system warehouse. Before she went to sleep, she heard a beep from the system. "I want to be given a name." Since the system wants to be named, Christy named it Armageddon. The next day, Christy woke up early. She is a pharmaceutical researcher in a top pharmaceutical institute. Her specialization is medicinal chemistry and biopharmaceuticals. She is among the top researchers in the institute. That morning she had a meeting with Mr. Martin, one of her supervisors, who always finds fault in her work and takes credit for her success. As she entered the lab that morning, the smell of sterile disinfectant and chemicals filled the air. Scientists in white lab coats walked around discussing their latest research, not knowing that in 1 month's time the world would come to an end. During the meetings that morning, Mr. Martin said, "We received a directive from the higher-ups to focus on our attention in producing emergency materials and fast-acting antiviral drugs due." Christy flickered her eyes in surprise. Then she remembered that the first sign of the apocalypse was an outbreak. The toxic gas mutation has already started affecting people, and the government has already noticed, and they are funding emergency medical supplies. But no amount of research will prepare them from what was coming. No vaccine, no antiviral, no government will stop the apocalypse. Seems they are worrying over something. Her colleague Frank whispered. When the meeting ended, Christy was assigned to lead one of the formulation teams. Frank asked her, "Why are you not surprised?" Christy answered him with a composed expression, "Why would pandemics happen all the time?" Christy's mind was elsewhere. She had 28 days left. Soon no government, no research, no laboratory would matter. The only thing that would matter is survival. Christy moved over her day like normal, but the knowledge of the impending apocalypse loomed over her like a shadow. She listened with detached interest as her colleagues discussed their new findings. She ate food with the knowledge that food will soon be scarce. Her colleague Frank noticed that she was unusually quiet, but she said, "I am always quiet." He pointed out, "More than usual, you look distracted. The workload has increased." Frank sighed, "I am stressed too. I feel like something big is about to happen." Christy said nothing. If you are interested in the continuation of this story, like, comment, and subscribe for the whole story.